What's up, guys? On today's video, I'm going to show you our new Excursion. So we got the Excursion in order to develop our 99-04 Super Duty front coilover front suspension and rear suspension and potentially some other things. And I am going to kind of go over what I like and the story behind this Excursion because it's kind of ridiculous. And the main thing is we're going to install a front hitch receiver so that we can put two motorcycles on the front hitch and tow the boat off the back hitch down to Lake Shasta next week and not have to take a truck. So I'm going to pull it in the shop and we'll kind of show you around. It's quite dirty and not impressive looking, because it's been getting used, and even when it's clean it still looks dirty, so it will get washed in a little bit. But for now, we gotta get in the shop and get the front hitch installed. So get rolling on that. From pouring the ice from my iced coffee out. Driving to pick up parts from Ryan.
I see that a lot with people who chew and they're spitting out the window.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus.
Yeah, no, that's not the issue on this one. So first off, I want to show you a little bit of the front suspension, and just to preface this, we've gotten a lot of requests for videos of this off-road and doing fun things, and that is coming. It's just been super busy at the shop and hard to make time to get out and get the videos and coordinate with JP and all that. But we have finished the 99-04 Super Duty front suspension. It's available on the website. Check it out. This is our test rig, and we went with the Excursion because we've got plenty of trucks, like 2 OBS trucks and a little Toyota pickup, and didn't really need another truck. So figured, why not try out an Excursion? So let's take a look at the front suspension real quick. You can see we've got, king coilovers, our shock towers. It's a radius arm setup, and you can see all the, inner workings there. It uses Johnny joints on the on most of the ends, and then a Thurin joint, weld joint at the axle side. So up front we're using stock steering linkage because it's actually pretty stout and strong, but we have redone the track bar and new track bar bracket, weld on brackets for the radius arms and the shocks. And the nice thing is the factory track bar bracket was like 7 or 8 inches shorter than the drag link, which is not good for steering geometry and suspension geometry. So we were able to fix that with the same length track bar and make it the same length as the drag link. I should say we were able to fix that, making the track bar the same length as the drag link and at the same angle. So it drives really, really nice. The track bar is made of 1.5" 3/8 ball DOM, and it has a welded housing on the frame side that uses Delrin bushings. And then on the axle side, it's actually just machined and threaded directly into the tube for a Heim joint. So there's no weld-in joint or, threaded joint receiver on that end. So really stout and strong and stiff. The other thing we were able to do is, if anybody's driven a 99-04 Super Duty, the turning radius is pretty bad. And so I looked at the axle shaft U-joints, and when we had everything taken apart, had another test axle with some knuckles, and I decided, let's try trimming down the steering stops on this because the U-joints had plenty of room in them. So I shaved about 3/16 of an inch off of each steering stop on the knuckles, with the factory brackets still on the axle, and found that increasing the steering angle made it to where the tie rod interfered with the track bar / steering stabilizer bracket from the factory. So we knew that wasn't going to be a problem because we cut all that off and put our track bar bracket on, and then tested it, without interference with our track bar bracket, and there's no U-joint bind. It turns phenomenally. There was extra room in the box, in the steering box, not just hitting the stops. And so the turning radius on this is crazy good. I don't know the exact angle that we gained, and I would like to measure and find out to be able to give a reference for anybody that's interested. But we gained a significant amount. This thing used to suck to turn around, and now I can turn it around in a really small space. So that's kind of an overview of the suspension. We will do more videos on that, but I'd like to tell you the story of this Excursion, and I'll keep it as short as possible. So my good friends Jesse and Tony helped me get this and picked it up in Seattle, and it was advertised on Marketplace with 107,000 miles, and it was a good deal. And so they went and looked at it for me, and called me and were like, this thing looks like it doesn't appear to be a 107,000 mile rig, but they're like, if you need it just for product development, it's going to do the job. It's not terrible. So said, yeah, all right, let's get it. No problem. They come down to pick up one of their trucks, and they drop this off for me. I'm super stoked. And just as a disclaimer, this is nothing on them. They are super awesome, and they warned me. So get it back, and I'm kind of just familiarizing myself with it, right? Going through the glove box and just seeing if there's any random paperwork. And I found a receipt from a repair shop where they replaced the ignition switch, and it had, which makes sense because the key doesn't work for any of the doors, just the ignition. It matched the VIN number and everything, and it showed 350 something thousand miles on it, maybe 320, I don't remember. And I just immediately was super bummed out because there was a Carfax report even that showed oil changes from 99,000 miles. Started going over all the dates and everything and realized that I kind of got scammed. And it actually has just an unknown amount of miles, somewhere north of 320 something thousand. So, it is what it is. It's a V10 rig. We were looking for something cheap to be able to do that. And basically after finding that out, I was pretty bummy on it because I was hoping to do some cool stuff with this. But the redeeming side is I had to go pick up parts from our laser cutter in the valley, and was like, let's take the Excursion instead of the truck. I think it'll actually fit more, and it's crazy because it does. I was able to pick up 3 pallets, 2 full pallets in there, and stack a third next to it, and just doing that, quick 2 hours there, 2 hour back trip, I started to really like this thing. I don't know why, but I'm actually quite stoked on it. And now the future game plan is Cummins conversion, obviously rear suspension as well, and just kind of making it a great shop rig. May even become my daily, I don't know, but I'm just liking it more and more. I camped in it the other weekend. It was super cool. So let's show you the inside. Let me grab a tape measure. And you can tell it's not clean. It needs to get washed. It got used all weekend, and it doesn't even look any better when it is washed, but whatever. So if we look in here, the lighting kind of sucks, but maybe if I open the back up too. So these seats fold all the way down and basically make it to where this thing, I think it says that it'll hold like a queen size bed or something. But for what, you know, we use it for, picking up pallets of parts from the laser cutter, doing that stuff, this is super awesome because come back here and it's like barn doors, and this is fairly short, so a forklift, you know, can get pretty far in. And I haven't even measured this yet because I'm curious, but as far as like space, we have 8 feet of room from there to here, and it's all covered. You know, if there's rain or anything happening, you know, you got basically an 8-foot bed. How wide is this? And almost 4.5 feet wide. For putting parts in, for all sorts of things. I camped in this the other night, like I just said, and just put a sleeping pad out in the back. Hung out, there's a, you know, charge port here. I don't know. All in all, I'm just getting more and more stoked on the Excursion. And it's kind of crazy just how like useful it is. Because this is shorter and smaller than my crew cab short bed. I think these are the same size as like a extended cab short bed. But it holds more than that truck will. And it keeps it all enclosed and nice. And so after that trip, I was like, yeah, I think we gotta keep it. So every year, been doing this since I was a little kid, we do an annual Lake Shasta trip in Northern California, and decided this year wanted to take the Excursion instead of the truck, just because it's comfortable and we can put everything inside. But we usually bring the boat and 2 dirt bikes, and the dirt bikes wouldn't fit in the back. So the game plan turned into getting a 2 dirt bike hitch carrier and putting that on the front of the Excursion. So today, I'm gonna put that on, the hitch receiver up front, test out the bike carrier and see what it does. And then at the end of the video, we'll talk about like the actual plans for what we're gonna do with this and the multiple or the other shop projects we have going. So stay tuned for more. Here's the front hitch we got. I think I just got this on Amazon. And if you look here, it appears to just go in between the bumper and the frame. So I'm gonna pull the bumper off and put the hitch on, and I guess just see how it works. Hopefully it will hold up. Well, that was easy enough. We got bumper, frame. The only thing I'm thinking about is these only have the 2 bolt holes and not 4. So I don't know if I should drill those out or not. But I think I'll read the instructions and follow those. Actually, they're right here. Yeah. Drilled holes. Classic. Okay. Alright, here's the hitch. And I know, yeah, we could have built one, but I think it was $150, you know, total shipped, maybe 200. And for the time and materials and kind of a last minute thing, honestly, is like cheaper. Let's just order this. It says it'll hold 500 pounds, and luckily we're just trying to carry 2 XR 100s, which I think is, yeah, definitely less than 500 pounds. So we should be just golden we'll see. It's gonna look really goofy, and I'll definitely show you guys. Got the holes drilled in the bumper to add the extra 4 holes, like I was kind of curious about. And now we got to remove the factory tow hooks, but we get to reinstall them, so that's a plus, because I wouldn't want to get rid of these. And yeah, that's what we're going to do now, and then we should be putting the hitch on and the bumper on, and Grant's going to give me a hand with that. So, just one quick pet peeve here. Everything on most modern vehicles is metric, and I hate when you buy aftermarket parts and they come with standard SAE hardware when the other hardware is metric. Like,
I don't get it.
Drives me nuts. We do everything in our power to make sure all of our products stay metric, except shocks. I think is the only shocks and some joints we can't do metric, but it's just annoying. Okay, according to these illegible instructions, now we just reinstall the bumper. Front hitch is installed, bumper is back on, and now it's time to do just a little bit of maintenance, like a fuel filter and an air filter, and do a once over on it, and hope that it makes the 4-hour-ish drive towing the boat without a problem. But take a look at this. I would say, aside from it being kind of a bent up bumper, the way it's always been, that front hitch is nice and tucked away. Yeah. So you can see all the suspension is still raw. You know, testing. Eventually this will all come out and get powder coated or painted. I don't know, the Excursion, does it deserve powder coating? Do we want to powder coat it? I really don't know. And we got our fuel filter right there. That's getting swapped out. So got to pull the fuse. And then just kind of once over the back of this. Ignore the blocks. Those are temporary because we got to still do the rear suspension, but look at all these AC lines. The rear AC actually is quite the game changer. Hasn't had any issues so far besides having to change one ignition coil, which I did initially, and will definitely bring extra ignition coils and spark plugs for the classic V10 stuff. So I'm not going to bore you with this fuel filter change. Check in a few. We got the front hitch installed. I changed the fuel filter and the air filter, some new wiper blades, and then found out the brake lights weren't working, so replaced the brake switch and actually washed it. I know you can't really tell, you know, this thing is not the prettiest, but it is washed because I can't stand it being dirty. And there's our nice hidden front hitch receiver. Actually, like, pretty thrilled on how that turned out. So now it's time to put our new motorcycle carrier on the front. It holds 2 bikes. Found this on the classic Facebook marketplace for a screaming deal. It looks like it's got this little like tensioning thing here, and we'll see how it does. Luckily, we're not putting giant bikes on it, so it should be like should be okay for what we're doing. But gonna put that on and then take it for a drive and see, hopefully it doesn't overheat, because I don't really have a backup plan. So we'll find out.
The only thing I didn't really think about was if it would be, or the potential obstruction from sitting in the driver's seat. And I don't think it's too bad. We'll see. Luckily, it's only XR100s, so we're just doing regular old pit bikes, not full-size bikes, and I think it's gonna be all right. I couldn't fit the like stabilizer piece in there, so I'm probably just gonna ratchet strap somehow to make it stronger. But this is the setup. We got to put one more XR100 on. Didn't even notice it, like, doesn't seem to squat the front suspension at all. And then, you know, the rest of the stuff for the trip. So I forgot to film this when I initially filmed this video, but I promised I would tell you about the game plan for the Excursion and some other shop projects we have going on. So I don't know if you guys have been following or not, but we are doing a Duramax Allison combo in an OBS Ford, and now we have the Excursion. So the game plan is to show you, we're going to do two different styles of shop builds or projects, whatever you want to call it. And the Duramax truck is going to be like basically as no expense spared as possible, like just go crazy with it and make it as nice as we can possibly afford to do. I don't think I can afford to have the body painted yet, but that is like a no rush, just get it done as nice as possible long-term project, and very expensive, more or less, which is why it hasn't been finished yet. But the Excursion is going to be more of a down and dirty project, in the sense that it's not going to get a fully rebuilt, machined, you know, decked out engine with, you know, the entire wiring harness of the whole front, you know, of the vehicle completely rewrapped and done, you know, really, really flawlessly. I mean, all of it's going to be good quality work, but it's going to be more budget friendly, because the Excursion I just don't feel is worth going too crazy with. That being said, it will be a, you know, a quality job. It's going to use our mounts. We're going to use it to develop some products off of, and it's just not going to get, you know, like the Duramax is, everything on the engine is powder coated. It's fully machined, main studs, head studs, like board, custom pistons. It's balanced. It's like, you know, pretty wild. The engine mounts themselves are machined out of billet aluminum, and it's kind of like our showcase project. And the Excursion is going to give us a chance to do something more budget friendly using the mounts that we manufacture for these trucks. And so we can even potentially go over like a cost comparison of the two, but the goal is to show, you know, what can be done if you go pretty crazy and expensive with the project versus going more budget friendly but still nice quality work that doesn't totally break the bank. So that's the long-term plans. Obviously, rear suspension, that's like number one priority, but those are the long-term plans for what we're going to be showing, is kind of trying to do a project or build series for each one. And I have a feeling the videos are probably going to be kind of staggered between Excursion and Duramax truck, and you'll learn in the next video why that's the case. The next video, we may show you the whole setup, cruising down to Lake Shasta, and see what happens. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.